And welcome back to the Content Digest. As always, my name is Jerry, and I'm here with Greg, my co-host. How's it going?
It's going really good, Jerry. How are you doing today?
I'm all right, man. How's your week been?
It's been a really good week.
Yeah?
Yeah, more good weather.
How's your dog? We just talked about him last episode.
Yeah, dog's doing really good. He's feeling better.
That's good. I love that. My cat's still chonky.
All right.
Yeah, very chonky, very rotund. What's on the docket today? It's our third episode.
We're going to be getting into a subject that we're both really big fans of.
Very passionate.
Yes. We're going to start talking about board games.
Tabletop RPGs. Maybe
and
some
things
regular
of that
RPGs.
nature.
You know, whatever we feel like. We can do whatever we want.
It's our show.
Oh, man. So, that'll be exciting.
Yeah. So, let's get into it. Let's lead off with a quick word from one of our sponsors.
Come one, come all, gather around the town square to see Tandor the Powerful, our great and brave hero, who, through swinging his battle axe through homes,
You killed my dog!
and tearing through people's limbs,
Get on my dad's
he
legs,
slayed
got no
the
legs,
evil dragon.
I worked the farm.
And after slaying the dragon, he cast a fireball on Yarvy's barn.
He shot a fireball at my barn. Killed old Bessie.
Find yourself in a sticky situation? Need to get out quickly and discreetly? Try Ruffini Sice invisibility potions. They will render you completely invisible for no longer than 2 hours. Available at reputable potion dealers everywhere. Don't you always love a good invisibility potion?
I could have used one last week when I broke into the women's locker room at the YMCA, but, too bad we live in real life.
That.
Sorry. I mean,
Well,
nobody knows who I am,
welcome
right?
back. I hope so.
yeah, let's hope so. If you know who I am, please don't listen to this.
The opposite of how most podcasts take off.
I'm
isn't
sorry. You should listen to. I don't know.
Just
what I'm
ignore what we're saying. Just
Yeah.
ignore us. I guess no better time than any to get into some of our Dungeons and Dragons adventures that we've had over the past few years.
D&D Pathfinder. They're taking off more now than they ever have before.
Yeah.
That's
it's
what people
crazy.
tell me.
No, I see it all over the place now.
Yeah.
Everybody, I don't know what brought it back, what brought it up, but everybody plays Dungeons and Dragons now.
Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people.
Enough people for me to say everybody.
Yes. Well, that's fine. You know.
Colloquially.
When did you start playing?
I started playing around 2014,
Whenever we started playing. So
13, 14, 15?
you played that early?
When did we start playing?
Like 2016, probably. Because I didn't play until I got back from college, which would have been about 2016.
Okay, well, that would have been around the time, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first time you've ever experienced it?
Yeah?
Okay. I started in high school. I played with friends in high school. And then I didn't play. Went to college, didn't play at all there. I guess I could have, but I didn't. And then I got back into it after I got back. One of our friends, Brian, if you're out there, love you, buddy. Most of the time. He got me back into it. We played Pathfinder, a couple one-offs, and then we got into a real campaign. Mm-hmm. And that's when Brett joined. Tell us about your character from that, Brett.
So my character was developed just totally independently of everybody else.
Yep.
And he was a half-elf whose elven mother was killed by an orc. Mm-hmm. And he lived in the woods with his father as a hunter.
He was a ranger?
As a ranger, yes, for most of his life. But he always carried around a two-handed warhammer as a secondary weapon.
Called Earthbreaker, if I remember.
Earthbreaker was correct. And that was his backup, just in case somebody got too close to him.
Yeah.
But because of where he grew up, he hated people who were overly nice, who would try to mask their true intentions with money. Who didn't recognize how much money they had, who flaunted it needlessly.
Yeah.
And orcs, he had a lot of hatred for orcs as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of us do.
Yeah, you know what? I found that there are a lot of orc racists.
Some orcists, if you will.
Orcists,
Yeah.
yes.
That's rude.
Yeah, what about your character in that campaign?
Well, funny enough, mine was developed independently of anyone else's. He was a noble. He came from a rich family. He was an illusionist wizard. That's funny. Wizard. He had a lot of money, and he flaunted it whenever he could to get laid or, to make friends. He was very nice to as many people as he could find, and he wasn't a very good wizard, so he had a gun. He carried a gun.
Was he good with a gun?
Not really. When we got to like level 3, I gave him proficiency with it, so he's a little better with it. But
But that was a couple missions in.
yeah, his go-to was the gun, not the magic, the gun. So that was funny.
That was a really interesting dynamic they had.
Yeah.
I remember the only reason that my character was willing to handle you or deal with you at all was because your father
Paid him off.
Yeah, well, paid him in information.
Oh, right,
He had
correct.
information that
Yes.
he was apparently trying to gather for Deleuze Medicles.
Deleuze Medically, that was his name?
Deleuze,
Yes, correct. I forgot that. Yes. My guy's name was Frederick.
Frederick,
Yes.
So that was the only reason he was your bodyguard. I remember
Yeah.
he was your bodyguard, but he would generally speaking wait until you got hit at least like once or twice before,
Before
he'd
doing
step
anything.
in.
Yeah. I mean, that's how you learn them, I guess, right?
Yeah. See, well, and he also just enjoyed watching you in pain. I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And I also remember all the other characters in the party hated me too.
Nobody liked you. Well, you
Yeah.
always tried to take the lead, but you weren't wise or intelligent.
He had no, he's very smart. He had 7 wisdom.
Oh yeah, he was very unwise.
He's very smart. You have to be
Very
smart to
unwise.
be a wizard. That's the point. But he had 7 wisdom, 9 strength, 18 charisma wizard. Anyone who knows the game knows that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was you.
That was me, and that was the other
And
guy
that
was you,
campaign led into our Starfinder campaign.
which was fun as well, which
Yeah.
we've played. So should we talk a little bit about like Dungeons and Dragons as a whole? Like we're kind of just going into characters. Should we talk about it?
Yeah.
Or do enough people know about it?
No, I think that enough people know about it that we don't need to get into. If we want to
Like
do
details,
a
but-
detail-oriented version of this conversation, we can dedicate more time to it later.
Yeah.
But what are your opinions on 3, 5, Pathfinder 2, Starfinder,
Personally, Pathfinder I think is far
Pathfinder
superior.
1?
Pathfinder 1. We'll get into the Pathfinder 2 thing later.
Okay.
But right now, I'm a fan of Pathfinder 1. I like 2, but again, we'll talk about that later. I have no problem with 5th edition D&D. I liked 3.5 a little more, but that's, again, why I like Pathfinder, because Pathfinder, they cleaned up 3.5, made it a little better, in my opinion. And Starfinder's fun, but I think it's got some underlying issues that I think they could solve by eventually making a Starfinder 2nd edition, maybe piggybacking off the second one, but again, that's something we could go into nuance about if people want to hear that. But
I think personally that 5e's place is as an introduction.
that is what it does best,
Yeah.
getting people into the hobby, because
I
it's
think
very
it's
rules
great
light.
for that.
Yeah.
And you can be really flexible with it. I think it's really good for one-offs. It's really fun if you want to just like throw yourself into a world and
Yeah.
like do something. I think that Pathfinder is better if you're trying to do a long campaign. If
Yeah.
you want to be more invested in it.
100% agree with that.
Be more detail oriented. So I definitely agree with you on that. I do think personally, I just love Starfinder.
Space.
I love I want to do more ship combat.
We never did that.
We never got to do that.
Our dungeon master Brian again. Hey, he hated ship combat.
Which I was my most exciting thing. I really want to get into
Yeah.
like some type of
So
ship combat.
if we do, maybe the next campaign will be Starfinder, and there'll be some ship combat.
That would be awesome.
I think we'll find that out soon.
And I like the characters. I like
building a character, sticking with them, telling their story.
yeah.
That's
but
what I love the
also
most
just
about
like the races that were available, like the bug
In
race that
Starfinder,
I was.
the giant lizard, the vest,
the brain.
Well, that was that wasn't a core, but yeah, that was funny.
But they were funny. I
It was.
love that character. So I think for me, Starfinder is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
But it might not be fair to put them on this in the same category because it's kind of like science fantasy versus straight fantasy.
Yeah.
And I think my tendency towards science fantasy is just grounded in my love of science fiction.
Absolutely.
But Pathfinder, I think you're right. I think Pathfinder is like the epitome currently of like good Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
Yep. All right. Well, I think we beat that to death. We can get more into that some other time.
Yeah, especially since there's some more details we want
Yeah.
to talk about later.
Yeah.
So that being said,
We get another word from our sponsor, is what our producer's telling me.
yeah, I wonder what the sponsor will be.
Well, let's find out. Hey kids, do you want a fun summertime game that you can play anytime?
Yeah!
Well, how about you try out the Poop Flinger?
Woo!
You take the included bags and you find some local dogs and their poop.
This one has corn in it.
Just get out the easily set up dartboard and set it up against your neighbor's fence.
I hate my neighbors.
And then you let her rip. First one at 100 points wins.
Oh, my bag broke.
The Poop Flinger, available exclusively at thepoopflinger.com.
You fling it, you smell it, you hit it. Poop flinger.
Poop sold separately.
I don't know what to say after that.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't want that product. I don't want any children near that product. Who thought of that?
I have no idea, but they need to be locked up.
Whoever thought of that needs to be fired from their job and then put in prison. You're correct. Oh my god. Is this what it's coming to nowadays?
I guess. I don't know how we segue beyond this.
I mean, we just got to talk about it. Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Yes, Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
So, we just played a game of Pathfinder 2nd
little
Edition.
bit, yeah.
You were a goblin? Alchemist?
I was an alchemist goblin.
What did you think of Pathfinder 2nd Edition? I want to know what you think. From your
I
perspective.
liked it a lot. I thought it was really enjoyable. I definitely enjoyed some of the new mechanics that they added. Some learning to do.
Obviously.
Definitely a lot of learning to do. But
You got to read up the core rule book, see exactly what's different. There are a lot of things I like about it. I think Pathfinder 1 is great the way it is. There are a couple of issues, obviously. There's always going to be. It's really hard to take physics and turn it into a pen and paper board game where you roll dice. Like, that's hard to do. Swing a sword, like, how do you calculate that? It's tough. I get that that's tough to turn it into something tangible. But I think Pathfinder, the first one, they did a good job of that. And Pathfinder 2, they're definitely building on and making it better. What was your favorite part about the new one?
I think that there were some of the movement changed, correct? I'm trying to recall some
Movement's the same, the action economy is different.
Action, yes, that's what I meant. You have your move action, your swift action, the action economy now, how you move is much more streamlined, I think.
Yeah.
And I think I really enjoyed that form of combat a lot better. I think it give you a little bit more flexibility, and it made more sense. It made more sense that if you have time to do this, why couldn't you do both things?
Yeah.
Correct.
I agree. Just so we point out, in first edition, the way you took actions in combat, there's a standard action, which is swinging a sword or opening a door. There's move actions, which is moving or equivalent, taking out a weapon, putting a weapon away. Then there were swift actions, which was anything you could do quickly. In this one, they got rid of all that. You have 3 actions to do anything you can do. It's stride, strike, anything you could do in the first one is pretty much an action now. And another thing I like is the way they changed spellcasting. The number of components. So, for anyone that doesn't know, if you're still listening and you don't know anything about RPGs, I freaking commend you. So, there's different components for spellcasting. Verbal, which is words, somatic, which is movements, and then material, which a wart of a toad, So the way they did in this is the number of components that are on a spell is the number of actions it takes to cast. So you could have one that's verbal and somatic, and then that's 2 actions to cast a spell, and then you could still move, or you could still take out your weapon. So I think that was another cool thing they did with that.
No, that's great. I definitely think that they made a lot of things more streamlined, easier to do, make more sense. And I think that's a big part of it. If things make sense, then you can pick it up and do it a lot more simply. You feel kind of natural in the game. Now, is there anything that you didn't like?
I don't think we've had a lot of hands-on experience with it yet, so I'm still trying to figure that out, honestly. I think it's weird. The Alchemist is a core class, but I'm sure there are a lot of people who like that, so that'll be interesting. I don't know how I feel about they changed Paladin into 3. It's called Champion, and then there's 3 different kinds of Champion now. So I don't know if I like that yet. It's a really interesting concept, but we'll see. We'll see how I feel about that. Is there anything you didn't like? I'll try and think of some more things.
I think that, and now I'm trying to. I have cursory knowledge of the game because we just played it once. But I'm trying to remember exactly how Advantage worked, and I pretty sure I remember not being the biggest fan
Of from 5th edition, you mean?
of Pathfinder 2.
What do you mean, advantage?
Like flanking and
Oh yeah, they changed that up as well.
They changed it, and I'm trying to remember how I felt about it. Like, what was the change?
If I remember correctly, what they changed was that instead of you getting a bonus, like getting a +2 on your attack when you're flanking, the enemy gets a penalty. They gain the flat-footed condition, so they have a minus to their armor class instead of you getting a bonus to your to hit.
I guess that's not as bad as I was remembering. I just remembered it being different, and I don't necessarily understand like the significance of that change. So it's not bad. It's not a bad change, I guess. It's just something that I fail to understand the significance of.
They're just I mean, and we'll figure that out as we're going, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, and maybe I can find some literature somewhere about why they made that.
There might be some scenarios in which it makes the advantage greater.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. While we're talking about that, so how do you think it compares to 5th edition? Because we've played 5th edition, we talked about that.
I think that it still is not as easy to pick up and easy to run with as 5th edition.
Yeah,
it's closer.
Yes,
it's easier. It's definitely closer to competing with it if that's its goal. But I don't think it oversimplifies anything. So I think it does a good job of making Pathfinder 1 easier, lower barrier of entry, while not necessarily
Pathfinder 2 a lower barrier entry.
Pathfinder 2 has a lower barrier of entry than Pathfinder 1. Yes. Not quite as low as 5th edition, but it still has... and this will possibly change as we play it more. I still feel as though it seems like it has the same amount of complexity as Pathfinder 1.
I get that. It's a different type of complexity, I should say. One thing they drew a lot on from 5th edition was the proficiency system. Because in 5th edition, that's one of the major parts of it. If you're good with something, you're proficient with it, you get a flat bonus.
Right.
And they did that in a way with Pathfinder 2. And there's different types of proficiency. Instead of just 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in 5th edition, there's trained, master, expert. There's all this. There's different bonuses based on how well proficient you are at something. So they took that and changed it from 5th edition, which I like that.
That sounds nice. Yeah, that makes it seem like it'd be more impactful.
Yeah. So I think they took the good parts of Pathfinder 1 and some of the good stuff from 5th edition, kind of combined them, and I think we'll find out more when we play it more.
Yeah, I would love to get a campaign going in Pathfinder 2 just to get a concept for it.
Yeah.
And maybe post some sessions for the listeners. So
if anyone wants to hear that.
It. Yeah.
The problem, it's so oversaturated, so it'd be tough to get an audience doing that because there's so many of them. But if people like listening to us and they like listening to those, maybe they'll want to hear it. So
yeah. So let us know if that's something you want to hear from us. Like we've been saying, any feedback you give us, we're going to take it to heart.
Absolutely.
So, let's see. I think there is another sponsor. We're going to have 3 sponsors this week. That's how you can tell we're successful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, raking in the dough.
So let's see what they have for us.
Have you or a loved one been the victim of Ruffini Sath's invisibility potions?
Have you experienced prolonged invisibility or no invisibility at all?
Have you grown tentacles or horns?
Have you acquired a strange obsession with touching gelatinous cubes?
No individual should be affected by the negligence of a potion provider.
Please send a messenger pigeon to the family attorneys at Rogar and Togar. We'll fight for you.
My own mother was a victim of potion seller negligence when she was polymorphed into a goat while buying simple perfume.
If you're not in the Opal Fields or West Haven, I'm not licensed in your city-state, but we have attorneys who are, and who are here to fight.
Rogar and Togar, we'll fight for you. We'd like to start this section off by apologizing for our first ad break. We didn't know that there was a malpractice suit going on against them.
It was incredibly negligent of us to accept that sponsorship. We're not returning the money, but very poor form.
Yeah, we would like to say we are very, very sorry.
Please do not use that invisibility potion. There are other much better invisibility potions on the market.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I use that same perfume actually, and nothing
Really?
happened to me. That's really strange.
Must be the individual potion sellers.
Yeah, it has to be. Ugh.
Well,
you want to talk about board games? This
I
is
like
getting dark.
board games.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
go
do
to
it.
board games.
Obviously, we're going to talk about board games. Like we were just talking about RPGs, which is a more expansive board game.
Right.
Which name a really good board game?
Really, I love Fury of Dracula.
Oh yes, we played that.
Yes.
That one's fun.
I enjoy that.
I remember that one time when it was just the two of us, and you played Dracula, and I played everyone else.
Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. That's how it goes sometimes, you know?
So Fear of Dracula is fun.
It is. It is fun.
It's basically set in the 1800s or late 1800s, right?
Yeah, sometime around there.
And the
1850s.
players are hunting Dracula.
Yes.
It's called Fear of Dracula. There's 4 players. You get cards, and you can battle Dracula. You go to different towns in Europe.
Basically, try to find him.
Yeah, and Dracula's job is to secretly tally each city he goes to, and then you have to figure out where he is. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. I wish we could play it again sometime.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we could.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a really enjoyable game. Highly recommend if you have the opportunity to. Check it out.
Yeah.
Any other board games you can think of that we've really enjoyed?
Not technically a board game. It's a card game. Exploding Kittens.
Exploding Kittens
That one's
card
fun.
game. I'll deal with that.
It's one of my favorite games. I try and win all the time, but I guess everyone does. That's how board games work, or games in general.
Munchkins has also been fun. I've enjoyed
Munchkin.
Munchkins.
That was fun.
Secret Hitler.
Secret Hitler. Hey, man. Whoa. Hey, we don't talk about him on this podcast.
All right. I'm not going to talk about They Who Shall Not Be Named.
Yes.
But
Secret Him.
him.
It's a very fun game.
It's a very fun game. It's good if you have a large group. I think the bigger the group, the more fun you have with that one.
Up to 10.
Up to 10, yes.
The game's technically 5 to 10, but 10's better. 5 isn't very good.
No, 5 is rather weak, but you
What's the
can do
game
it.
like?
Essentially, you have Secret Him,
Secret
and
Him.
you have Secret Fascist and Secret Liberals.
Everyone knows who the
everybody
liberals
thinks
are.
everybody's a liberal. Everybody's
Yes.
announcing to the world that they're a liberal.
Yes.
And you basically just have to weed out who the fascists are, and the fascists are trying to
Further the fascist agenda.
right and
Yes.
keep Hitler and
don't say that. Don't say his
elect
name.
elect him.
Thank you.
To the chancellorship in
Yes.
the final rounds,
Yes.
so that they can take over and win, essentially. And the thing about him is that he doesn't know who his fellow fascists are.
Unless you're playing with 5, and that's what I don't like about it. Because if you're playing with 5, he knows who the other fascist is. But when you have more than 5 and 6, then he doesn't know, and that's what makes it. That's what I think makes it interesting.
It is. Especially
'Cause
when
they know who
somebody
he
who
is.
is a fascist thinks they're a liberal and votes to remove you
Yeah,
when you're the leader.
That
has
happens.
happened.
Yeah,
that has
that
happened.
happens. I like the game. I've talked to other people about this, and they get turned off by the subject. Like, oh well, we should. That's terrible. You shouldn't talk about that. That's not really the point. The point of it isn't that part of history. It's a political intrigue, suspicion kind of game.
Right. Well, and I think if
It
you
just-
avoid subject areas because of the history around them, then you, you tend to iconify them when in reality they were actions taken by people, and you have to be willing to approach those and face those and just accept them in your everyday life because they're there. That's my perspective on that.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Anything else? Any other board games you can think of that you'd want to discuss?
So there is one that I'm going to call a board game.
Okay.
Because of how it plays.
Okay.
And that's Divinity.
Divinity. Oh, the video game
Yes.
RPG game.
Yes, but
Yeah,
I
okay.
definitely consider it a board game. Like, I don't think it's much different from like playing Dungeons and Dragons on
very similar.
Roll20
Yeah.
or basically using any digital landscape for like playing Dungeons and Dragons. I think Divinity's right in line with that, being its own game with its own story, but just how it plays and how it basically utilizes mechanics, I think is very similar to that.
I've actually messed with on there, the GM, the Game Master
Yeah.
part, and you could build entire count. If you took the time, you could build encounters in that, and you could utilize that to play a pen and paper RPG, and I think that's very cool. Do you want to talk a little bit about the game, since we're talking about it, but not really explaining
I would
it?
love to. It's a very free form in how you build skills, which I actually I really enjoy. That you can. My one character is a dwarven warrior,
Okay.
but he utilizes like polymorph skills and like slows and stuns in pretty much his entire kit and a lot of magic. So he's like very mobile, very like CC heavy, very tanky. But he still does plenty of damage in the campaign, and it's really cool to be able to have those mechanics and like build the character that you want to play, whether that's a super stealthy assassin or like a mobile tank.
It's cool that you can have an idea for a character, do that class, but you can also do other things. Like you're not locked into what your initial idea was, and that's one thing I really enjoy about that game. I think y'all have played it more than me, you and our other friends.
A little
bit. I haven't been on that much, but everything I've played from it, I enjoy. But we've restarted the main campaign like 4 different times, and I'd like to actually get farther than the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the best part is now that we have... So here's the thing. The one problem with it is that when you're playing with friends, if you ever want to add a friend, you have to start back over from the beginning.
Yes.
So that essentially means that until you have the campaigns running simultaneously with all of your friends, you're constantly restarting.
Yes.
So I think now we're at a point where...
We could start one and actually
And
stick
most
with
of our
it.
campaigns have already been started, so we could just jump back in and continue forward with
I would
it.
have no idea what's going on. But that's okay, I guess. I don't really remember.
It would be right after the initial scene where we're getting off the boat. I think
Maybe.
our
Some of
campaign's
them.
right there.
There were a couple we went a little... I remember there was one where we went underneath the town and we all died, but that was interesting. Man. All right, well, that's fun.
Yeah, Divinity is a very fun game. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
If you have any board games that you like to play, we love playing new board games.
Yes.
Would love an idea. If you would like to see us play random board games.
Let
you
us know.
don't necessarily want to see us play Dungeons & Dragons, but would love to see us play something else weird.
We can Twitch that, or
I'll
Mixer, or whatever we're
put
going
it
to
on
use.
whatever. Again, we're
Yeah.
looking for recommendations for streaming sources, so
YouTube
let
gaming?
us know. Probably going to
Yeah.
throw something on YouTube at some point. We'll just have to see what is made of it.
I'm looking forward to that. I think that'd be fun. Us playing games with our friends. You'd like our friends.
And
most of
maybe
them.
we could have you guys come in for a couple of games. You know?
Yeah, we could play on Board Game Simulator. What is that thing?
Yeah, Roll20 or something like that. There's some type of simulator.
There is.
I've
It's on
played
Steam. I think
before.
it's Board Game Simulator. I think that's what it's called. We'll look
Okay.
it up.
All right, we'll find
If
something.
anyone wants to join us, that'll be our Patreon tier. You got to pay $20,000 a month, and you get to play games with us. Okay,
if you pay me
that's a little
$20,000 a month,
I'll do anything.
I'll
for you.
do most anything. There's very few
things I
things
won't
that
do.
are limited by that, and there's a
Yeah.
premium you could pay for those things.
Yeah. All right.
Before
I guess-
we start come to constipation, I think it's about time for us to wrap up and digest what we have here.
I could go to. I need to digest some food I ate before we started this. So
I need to eat some food.
you need to eat. You haven't done that yet.
I haven't eaten.
We've
yet.
recorded this whole show, and you didn't eat anything.
I haven't eaten.
Your mom would be upset with you.
Yeah, she probably is.
Yeah. I'm gonna call her. You want me to call her?
No.
I'm gonna call her and tell her.
Oh no.
She'll whip you into shape, man.
She will whip me.
Oh, okay. Maybe I won't call her.
Thank you. No, my mother does not beat me anymore.
That got dark.
It's always dark with us. Welcome to our podcast.
Goodbye from our podcast.
Well,
this
it's going to
week.
be a long time coming for us, and I think that if you're enjoying anything that you've seen now, it will only
Or heard.
or heard. Most
It's gonna be
likely
mostly
heard.
hearing. Yeah. Just let us
Just
know.
continue on with us because
Yeah.
I can only imagine we're going to indulge more into our own.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. Well, hit us up on Twitter, on Facebook,
YouTube.
That's what we got going right now.
Yeah,
We'll get more going when we
see
have the time.
wherever we might be.
And thank you for listening. This has been the Content Digest.